formally. So Jayati, welcome to this debriefing session. 690, good score. You've taken the online GMAT. So let's start with two things. One is, how did you prepare for it? So how did you think about, or did you plan your preparation? I think that's kind of focus on that. The first part, and then we'll talk about the whiteboard. So let's start with planning your preparation.
So I had a very restrictive, like I had just 1 month before.
So I think it's good to give context with regards to the background. You're a triple IT student, and then you're a budding entrepreneur. So I think let's talk about that first.
Okay, like triple IT and entrepreneur, is that where should I start?
Yeah, I think just because that sets the context why you had a month, right?
Okay, so I am a student at triple IT, and I'm in the process of preparing, just graduating. I'm in my final semester. And I decided to take the GMAT because I'm an entrepreneur right now and I want to see my company go global at one point. And I think an MBA would help me with that. And COVID also encouraged me to take the MBA, apply for deferred MBA programs right now. So this is how I started preparing my MBA journey.
And I want to add just one thing. You're not just an entrepreneur who's just starting her business. You've already raised significant funds for it.
I've had like 2 years already now. And I have won government fundings. We've been funded by the MHRD. We've been funded by venture capitalists. So we've done well so far.
Good.
And we're already in talks to raise angel investment. So yeah, this is where the context is coming from. Then after this, why I decided to take the GMAT was simple because with the COVID coming, I really wanted to get a backup. And it gave me the time to take the break from college and my work. So I just had 1 month because prior to that we were getting to launch the product, and now the product launch got delayed by 1 month. Hence the 1 month.
Hence the 1 month.
Yeah. So I had 1 month and not so much experience with GMAT type test taking. So the first thing I did was obviously look out for good courses, and that's how I found e-GMAT. And what I specifically liked about e-GMAT was the analytics-based approach that you guys stressed on, and I felt like it delivered on that. Now coming to the actual preparation, my first goal was to get through all the basics and just revise everything up. And I had specific weeks for everything, like how the planner makes. So I followed like that. Mm-hmm. And then towards the end, I remember, and now addressing how did I prepare for the whiteboard thing. That happened. So when GMAT announced that there will not be a scratch pad, I shifted all my preparation.
I think let's just go back to the planner piece over here. So did you study full time?
Yeah, I did. I studied full time, like probably like 6, 7, 8 hours a day.
Okay, 6, 7, 8 hours a day. So that's kind of what got in a week. Got the prep done in a month or so. Okay.
The problem with this, so I would like to add something here. So the difference between GMAT and any other exam is that even if you do the 6, 7 hour study, it doesn't make much difference, because GMAT is a lot about observation, and that observation skill really decreases if you are studying like 6, 7 hours a day.
It's not just concepts. It's about the application.
Absolutely. Like with respect to any other examination, I know for like if I do the 6, 7 hour study, I know I can deliver. But when it comes to GMAT, I'm sure I won't deliver if I do that much study in a day. So this is one thing I really wished that hadn't happened. Like I would have gotten a little more time to get, because it's more about developing a process. And that doesn't happen by 1 day study. It happens by repeated applications. So yeah, so taking that, this was one point I felt like I wish a little more time was there. But anyways, content, right? Yeah. So can I continue?
Yes. So let's talk about the whiteboard.
Okay, great. So when GMAT announced about the whiteboard, I shifted all my preparation to typing, which means that even for verbal, I was just typing notes. And I was doing all practices, all tests using the keyboard. And so I had to develop a skill. So I decided to shift most of the calculations in my head, like only write what is most essential. So spend more time reading the question, understanding how to approach it, and kind of figure out a pathway in the head before, writing anything. So this was more in math. Honestly, it's not that difficult. So GMAT questions are again observation based. Same applies for quant as well. So I don't need to go on and type millions of digits in order to fix it. If I understand what's the trick, I can just write the essential
If
things
you
and
can draw inferences from the questions
that.
itself, rather than just doing the math, it's about logic.
So for example, in number properties specifically, now that's the biggest inference section in GMAT. I mean in quant. So if it is in DS question and that, the trick is always how they frame the question. Like they miss out these key things like integer and you assume it an integer in your head and you make the mistake. So I noticed that. So an error log approach really helped me. Like I would really say that was the key takeaway for me. I sat down with each question. I figured out how GMAT was trying to trick me through it, and I wrote it down. And yeah, so coming to the online board thing, to be very honest, it's not that bad. You get used to it over time. It's just more tiring because the entire exam is getting done in one stretch. So it just makes it really tiring. Except that doing math was not that hard. Obviously, there are these 1-2 questions which require a multiplication that's too big.
Yes.
And that was there. Word problems was trickier. But again, since
it's not a major impediment.
Basically. Yeah, since it doesn't penalize you for getting a question wrong, I mean, even if you get one, you just don't have to get consistently wrong.
Yeah, yes. So what about the verbal side of things? I mean, verbal side, did it have any impact, negative or?
So during the actual exam, again, my exam hung in verbal as well. That also during ours. I think critical reasoning.
Okay.
Critical reasoning. So yeah, so coming to the verbal, no, there was not a major impact for me because I developed a technique to not write much even in verbal. Like, so for example, I actually found that more useful. Like where in critical reasoning, for example, if I focused on writing the conclusion or something, my mind would get distracted and I would break through the logic. Like I would lose the logic. So I focus more on asking myself questions like, what am I supposed to do here? What is the conclusion? What is the negation? What is the assumption? So I had like more of a talking approach, just keeping everything.
Okay.
Not writing it down. I stayed away from writing as much as I could. And so where it got tricky was, and even in the options, I mean, I would admit that solving a 7 plus question, very hard question might get harder like this. But the problem, like I was doing okay with it. So
you got a V36, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's upwards of 80th percentile on verbal.
Yeah. So I was doing okay with it. I think if I would have had a little more practice with critical reasoning, I would have done better. That's the one section I was really underconfident about, and it showed, and I struggled throughout it.
Yeah, and I can see that in the stats because you couldn't finish the course on the platform either, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it was just, and it just got into my head. Like my head wouldn't function. It got to that level. And with sentence correction, I actually like sentence correction a lot, so I was not struggling with it at all. And I really found the course helpful. I would really compliment you for that. Like it really picks up where one would get stuck and gets the thing sorted. So thank you for that. And with respect to RC, I again, instead of writing, I saw the para. I made it into a story in my head that this is what is going on. Okay, this is what the author is trying to say. So I got really connected to what the passage was trying to say, and then attempt my questions. Now, in the actual exam, there was a problem that happened, which was that the RC was a little bit trickier, like a little bit more harder. Not because of the questions, but because the passage was very complicated. So they gave easier questions, that was okay, but the passage was like going around in circles sometimes. So I felt like it took a little more time, and that made me panic a little bit towards the end. But that's okay, it's an exam, right? So
yeah, so I think when I hear what you're saying, and we so essentially you did not learn how to use the whiteboard strategically. So we have a channel, we have a YouTube channel in which we have solved examples on what's the best practices to do SC, CR, and RC. So we have about 15 examples out that are lined out over there. How do you represent exponents, for example? and quant questions and so on and so forth. So if you, despite the interruptions and despite the fact that you didn't optimize on the whiteboard, because on the verbal section, the whiteboard is really good. It's an asset. Why? Because I can cover the options. I can focus on the arguments. I can write a few things, which, by the way, I can read because I can never read my handwriting otherwise. So, and I'm looking at it. I'm looking at the screen right then and there. I don't have to go down. My focus is I'm reading and typing because I have my whiteboard right below this.
Actually, why I stayed away from the writing approach, because I really struggle for making shortcuts, So
So you didn't optimize on the whiteboard. So we
don't know how to optimize.
Yeah, you don't know how to
not that
optimize.
I didn't. I just don't know. I did not have that kind of time to
because of the 1 month
learn that thing.
Yes.
Yeah. So I could only capitalize on what I knew and how I worked.
Yes.
I did not have the time to change my thought process. But definitely, not seeing down and writing notes, that might help a lot of people for sure. Like, I do not disagree on that point at all.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I mean, when I solve verbal questions using the whiteboard, I'm like, man, why the hell would I even have a pen and paper? Because on the verbal side, it's so much easier. And there's little adaptations. For example, on a scratch pad, I would do A, B, C, D, E. Yes, then you cross them down. Don't do A, B, C, D, E anymore. I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Why? Because they're right next to each other on the keyboard. So if you have to write down choices A, B, C, D, E and scratch them out, it's like you have to say A, B, where is it? You have to write those down. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you can just do in a single stroke with fingers. And you can say A corresponds
to so for that I did like the finger approach where you put it on the screen to figure it out.
Yeah, but you're still physically moving your hand over there and doing that, and you're straining your visual cortex, right? Which, by the way, is the most computational heavy thing. I mean, as someone who, so there's a reason why video takes a lot more bandwidth than audio. It's just visual cortex does a lot more processing. That's why if you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you're focused on that. So
I mean, it's like, this is, I will take a note of it, that I need to improve this part of it for my next
I mean,
exam.
those little things, adaptations, which would make a huge difference. And it's not changing how you approach it. You're still comprehending it. It's like
so like, if you note, in the CR course, so initially I started out very proper. Like in the CR course, I actually was writing it down and trying to make notes, trying to approach the problems as was being taught. And and then when I went on to take the ability quizzes, it was just not working out. And then I panicked.
Yes, because you short-circuited the process. And I can.
No, I mean, initially I did everything.
Oh yeah, I can see. I mean, very few people, and I can show you the stats, get 100% in application 3 and application 4 in inference. These are difficult questions. So you started off really, really well in the CR course. But
I felt like these are the main things, so I did not get on to other things.
Yeah, I mean, so, but when it comes to Scholaranium over here, I mean, before going into ability quizzes, I wish you would have taken a cementing quiz or a few cementing quizzes.
Yeah.
Starting with medium, where, I mean, remember this, you don't learn to, you're going local with your business before you go global, right?
Yeah.
Because you know the market. That's the same way you start with medium ability quizzes first, then a medium cementing quizzes, then you go towards hard before you take an ability quiz.
Right. I'll tell you why I did not do that. In number properties, what had happened, I took an ability quiz and then I went to the cementing quiz to kind of get through the zone and equip myself. And then the ability quiz is reduced. So I was like,
which is fine. So
yeah, I did not like that. So I was like, no, ability
so
quiz.
What? So what?
Yeah, I know.
So I what? Know. I mean, you've not even done 15 to 20% of the questions over there. So, and
yeah. So this time I was like, I'll focus more with the ability quizzes. And in hindsight, might not have been the best. I actually did a lot of, I did do cementing quizzes for CR for like 5 questions, custom quizzes.
Custom
Like,
quizzes, yes, but not cementing.
not cementing, 5 question, proper level, and then going and analyzing.
Yeah.
That helped me improve my score. So I was able to get to 67% of ability because I started doing their log and noticing. But
That's
then
good.
before,
See,
I
but
was
that's exactly, you got on the right process. You didn't do the all the steps in that process, but you got on the right journey.
yeah.
So what you're really saying is doing ability right away wasn't helping you. So you said, let me do something simpler, figure out where I'm faltering. Let me do 5 questions, right?
Yeah.
But then you went from 5 to 15, difficulty levels jumbled up, and it.
Till this point, the confidence had broken in CR. That was the major reason. So I was I had taken one GMAT test, like prep test. I know that it's not that trustable, and we've had that discussion, but I did it before, and I gave the exam, and I tried a bunch of from the official guide. I tried that, and I was doing always great in CR. Like I was messing up only 1 or 2 questions odd here, and then so I was very confident with it. And then I started this, and I became extremely underconfident in it.
Yeah, but again, remember,
Because I started wrong. Yeah.
no, but also when you're doing official guide has only about 25% of those questions are difficult questions. An ability quiz, 55% of the questions are difficult questions. So for in e-GMAT, a 90th percentiles, someone who has a 90th percentile ability, his accuracy on easy questions is 90%, medium is 87%, on hard is 62%.
Okay.
So which is where, if you look at the verbal scoring scale, right, and the GMAT works the same way, by the way, because which is where a V40 is 91st percentile, V44 is 98th percentile, V45th is 99th, V46th is 99th, till V51. So on the verbal side, we have that ability to differentiate between you guys, which, by the way, doesn't exist on the quant side.
Okay.
So and that's kind of where you, if you did well your medium questions, you probably, if on the ability quizzes that you took, you would have done really well on the medium questions. If just looking at that, it's where the hard question is where things go down. And in the official guide, yes, majority of the questions are actually 70% of the questions are easy or medium.
I actually completely agree with this. And another thing that I was doing wrong in CR, which I had the realization that this is going wrong, but I did not have the time to correct it, is the fact that I was not doing a very process oriented approach. What I was doing was very just like join here
Haphazard.
and there. Yeah, like it was not structured. So even while going into the exam, I remember that this is going to be God's grace, whatever happens with CR in this, because I did not know how it was going to turn out. And part of it was the fact that I kind of freaked out during my preparation because I did not have cognizance of these facts. And
But the good
yeah,
thing
so
is, you next time you're going to be prepared. You're going to get a 740, and you're going to be happy. That's part and parcel. So that's good. I mean, for those, always reach out is what I would say for people who are watching this, and we can help to really say, this is where I'm struggling with. Tell us what to do. Tell me what to do. But yeah, I mean, 690, good score, upwards of 80th percentile. Despite all of that, I think this just shows that those little tweaks would have gotten you in the 90th percentile, both in quant as well as in verbal. So, so Jayati, I think good attempt. I know it's not your ideal score, but good attempt. Good job with the whiteboard. Given that you did it all by yourself, I think there's a fair room of improvement in both contexts. But one thing which is there is, it's whiteboard's not evil, I would say. So
I will
hey,
try.
yeah, I mean, you tried it and you did quite well. Is what I would say.
That's what I plan to write to schools as well.
Yes.
That please give me another chance.
No, they will. I think. See, schools, they want higher scores, so you apply and then you take another attempt. I think and send that over. So why would they not consider it? So GMAT's a measure of your ability. There's nowhere where it says that the first attempt is a more pure measure of your ability.
Definitely. And it's a very practical, like actually I've given the J and I've experienced that, and I've given this, and I really enjoyed giving it, to be very honest. And I really felt that with time you will improve, because again, observation.
Yes.
Observation improves, but with time you require your mind to also get stabilized. Like I was saying, the 6-7 hour thing, doing everything really quickly is not ideal for GMAT. How you always say that you need to have those 2 months, that's the ideal time. I could appreciate that there is a peaking time to it. There's a time that your brain needs to process everything.
Yes.
So yeah, absolutely, I will work.
Yes. Well, and again, apply right now. You have the deadlines coming, and then send the updated score. That's what I would say.
I plan to apply in so I'm applying to MIT and Kellogg, and I'm applying there without the score, and because they have the option for conditional offers. Howard, I would have to apply with the score only.
But why would you not send a score to at least to Kellogg?
Kellogg is waived, and for MIT.
Yeah, but waived doesn't mean they won't take a score.
Like they've read, so I talked to a bunch of people and they said that they see a 690 on an Indian applicant and absolutely reject you. That's the kind of input that I got.
Talk to them to really say, I'm going to take the GMAT again. I mean, we've had students who've taken the GMAT 6 times and gotten a 740, and they've received an admit. So again, these are not deferred students. These are, current students.
That's the more trickier part. Like I'm applying to a very competitive exam.
No, to Kellogg. I'm talking about Kellogg itself. Many students. So I've had this student, Pravi, who took the GMAT 6 times.
Hats off that dedication.
Yes.
Like right here.
Yes. So she applied with a 680 to Kellogg, did not get the interview invite till like the last day of the interview invite. Now the 680 she still didn't get it. Then she improved her GMAT score to 740. Sent the updated score. Within 7 hours, she had 5 interview invites. And then she had.
I really don't understand how that works, because they'll be giving the decisions in July. Like all the schools are giving decisions in July, and I mean, it makes sense that the schools are doing that if you are like applying in the first round and they have the admission process going for a year or so. But in my case, all the schools will be out with decisions by midweek July or end week July.
Yeah, so in that case, you send your score before that, right?
If I can take it by then.
If you can take it by then, yes.
Yeah, it's gotten a little trickier with that number. Like I feel like if 700, that's 7 marks.
No, but you can always really say, hey, I plan to take the test again. And if worst case, if there's a possibility, they will tell you that, that, hey, we are going to, so we are going to give you a deferred admission based on the fact that you get a higher score. Because schools also give conditional admissions to students where they say, you have to get a 650. If you get a 650, you have the admission. It's conditioned on you getting that score.
So I should apply with the score and let them know that I'm looking to improve my score.
Yes. So you should let them know, definitely. Because I mean, imagine there's very few people have scores right now.
Okay, right.
So, and frankly, talk to them. Say, to talk to folks at Kellogg, say, I have this score. And do you want me to, and I'm going to improve upon it, but I don't know when. But if the center's open in July, do you think I should send this score? Do you think it will be an advantage to my candidacy? Talk to them.
Okay, fine. Thank you so much. That really helps. I would do that. In your opinion, how has the GMAT Online performances been with students? Like you are far more aware of the data. Has it dropped?
So I have seen really good scores on the verbal side. I have seen fewer Q50s in quant, but I've seen a lot of Q48s.
Okay.
So, but again, with time, those performances are improving. So people,
Okay.
as the people get to use the whiteboard more and more. So yesterday, the guy who I interviewed had a Q50 and a V39. So and again, it's about becoming more and more dexterous with using the whiteboard. And all the negative publicity that the whiteboard got didn't help people, because a lot of people didn't even try the whiteboard, and which I think people who gave that negative publicity did a disservice to all the applicants.
It's the entire hype that came, that, oh my God, this is so bad, this is so bad.
Yes, and it's not.
Yeah, I mean, even I agree to that. It's not that bad. You can get used to it.
Yes, it'll, trust me, when you start adapting to it, it'll start to become an advantage. I think it's just, you have to start adapting. It's the same way when the test went online, people shouted. It's like, I'm used to a paper-based test. How the hell will I read and solve things online? But the adaptive nature of it allowed you to do more mistakes. And it started to become an advantage. I mean, imagine in a paper-based test, the guy who answered 35 questions correctly got a certain score. The guy who answered 34 correctly out of 36, the verbal section, or 40 out of 41, which is what it was at that time, got a certain score. It was purely based on the number of questions that you get right, and again, the difficulty level. But if you got a few easy questions wrong, you were penalized.
Yeah, right.
Right. And I mean, whereas on the adaptive one, you can make mistakes and still get an excellent score, because hey, you can make mistakes.
Absolutely. Like, yeah, it did prove to be an advantage. You're right.
So the same way, you have to adapt to it. So
Absolutely, we can't panic about stuff.
Yeah. So, well, Jayati, really good talking to you. Thank you.